guys. So, a whole number blocks episode there on odds and evens. Now, can you remember the names of the two teams? We had the even tops, didn't we? And what was the same about all of them? They all had a flat top on them, didn't they? And then we had the odd blocks. And what was special about all the odd blocks? All the odd blocks had one extra bit sticking up, okay? So, all of the ones on the odd blocks team were our odd numbers. And can you remember, those are the numbers that we can't share equally into two groups. Those are the numbers that we found yesterday. We had more on one plate than the other plate, didn't we, when we shared them? Those are our odd numbers. And then our even numbers are all of the ones that we can share equally into two groups. So 2, 4, 6 and 8 and 10, we found out yesterday that we could share those equally. Those are all our even numbers. They were all on the even tops team. Now, it's quite a big thing to get our heads around this odds and evens, and we're only just at the beginning of it, okay? So don't worry if you're sat there thinking, Miss Carls, I just don't know what you're talking about. Don't worry at all. We're just at the beginning of learning how to understand it. So to get us started today, we're going to look at some Numicon pieces. And now, unfortunately, because I'm at home, I haven't got a stash of Numicon with me. But I've put you some Numicon pictures on the next card, and you can use the pictures to help you with your mathsy thinking today, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the different pieces of Numicon, and we're going to think about, well, which team would they go in? Would they go in the odd blocks team, or would they go in the even tops team? So would they be an odd number, or would they be an even number? And we're going to think about how we know. Okay, so let's do a couple together and I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to draw my Numicon pieces for us to talk about today, because like I say, I haven't got my Numicon stash at home. So our Numicon are our pieces that look a bit like this. Can you remember? They're colourful blocks, aren't they? And they have circles in them. And we have a different shape for every number up to 10, don't we? What shape is this one? It's number 1, isn't it? Well done. Number 1, because it's got one circle on it. There's 1. This is our number 1 piece of Numicon. Now, where would we say number 1 belongs? Is it an odd number, or is it an even number? Is it an odd top or an even top? Well done. Number 1 is an odd number because it's 1 on its own. It's sticking up all on its own, okay? It hasn't got anybody else with it. It's on its own. It's an odd number. Right, so let's make ourselves a little table. We like our little tables, don't we? Just to keep a record of what we find out. Okay. So odd and even. And our number 1 Numicon, number 1 is an odd number because it's 1 on its own. Now when you do this, you can choose, guys. You can either look at the card in front of you on the screen and you've got a stack of your Numicon pictures to work through again, and you can just look at the picture and talk to your grown-up about whether it's odd or even and how you know. Or I've put you a big sheet of all the Numicon pieces on the next card if you wanted to print those out and cut them out, and then you could sort all of your odd Numicon pieces and stick them down in your book on this side of the table, and then cut all of your even Numicon pieces out and stick them down on the even side of your table, okay? Or you might use some building blocks and things you've got at home to make a version of the Numicon. Right. I know it's a bit trickier, this one, because the Numicon is so handy to use, but it's not something that lots of us have at home. So we'll just make do with what we have got. Okay. So that's number 1. Number 1 is odd. Let me draw our number 2 piece. Okay. So here's our number 2 piece. We know it's number 2 because it's got 2 circles on it, 2 pieces to it. Okay. Now, would this number 2, would it be an odd block or an even top? Well done, it's an even top, isn't it? Because it's completely flat all the way across. And we can see that this block has got a friend, okay? It's not on its own at the top, it's got a friend with it, all right? If both of, let me say that again. If our blocks have got a friend by their side, we know it must be an even number, okay? If we've got a block that's on its own, it can't be an even number. It's not got anybody with it. It's an odd number, okay? So 2 would be in our even side. It's even because it's got a friend by its side, okay? It's not on its own. Right. Let's have a look at number 3 then. Okay. So here's what our number 3 looks like. Okay. It's 3 because it's got our 3 circles on it. Is this an odd block or an even top? Well done. It's an odd block. It's an odd number. How do you know that it's an odd number? Well done, because it's got 1 on its own. It's got a lonely one at the top on its own with no friend by its side. So it's an odd number, okay? It's got nobody there with it. Odd number for number 3. Okay, let's have a look at our number 4 then. Bear with me a second, guys, while I draw it. There we go. Here we go. Here we go. So, here's our number 4. We know it's a number 4 because it's got our 4 circles, our 4 pieces in it. What do you think, guys? Odd block or even top? Well done. It's an even top, okay? It's an even number. And how do we know? Because it's got a friend, okay? Each one on this side has got a friend on this side. There's no one little bit sticking up on its own. Everyone has got a partner, okay? It would be a bit like if we were in lines and if we could all hold hands with a partner, there must be an even number of us, okay? Each block on this side has got a partner on this side. It's even, all right? 4 is an even number. Let's try one more together and then you can go off and explore on your own, okay? And like I say, guys, this is a really big mathsy idea that we're trying to get our heads around today. So don't worry if you're sat there thinking, oh, Miss Coles, I'm not quite sure that this is making sense. We're going to practice it lots and lots and lots, okay? We're just getting started today. Okay, what number have we got here? We've got number 5. What can you tell me about number 5? Is it odd or is it even? Well done, it's odd. How do you know it's odd, guys? Well done, it's got 1 sticking out on its own without a partner. We've got 1 lonely piece on its own at the top, which means it must be an odd number, okay? So 5 would go over here. Right, guys, I'd love it if you could go off and explore the rest of your Numicon pictures with your grown-ups and see if you can figure out which ones are even and which ones are odd, okay? Now, you'll know because our odd numbers all have 1 piece sticking out on their own at the top. They all have 1 piece that's lonely and that hasn't got a friend by its side. If it's got a lonely piece on its own at the top, it's an odd number, okay? If it's nice and flat across the top, It's an even number, okay? And that's because each one on this side has got a friend on this side. Everyone's got a partner. No one's lonely and on their own. So it's an even number, okay? Even is flat on top. Odd has got one sticking out on its own. Even, everyone's got a partner. Odd, there's one person left on their own. Even numbers can share equally. Odd numbers can't. I know, guys, it's a lot to get our heads around today. Go and get started, okay? See how you get on. And like yesterday, if you could fill in your form for me at the end and let me know what you find out, that would be fabulous. Don't worry, grown-ups too, don't worry if this is one of those things that's taking a little while to make sense. We will be practicing this again. It's a big old concept to get our heads round, and we're just getting started today. See how you get on, guys. Have fun, and I'll see you after lunch.